Introduction to Youth-Inspired Research, or UIR. This is Part 3, Transforming Education, K-12 and Community Colleges. I'm Josephine Kershaw, and I'll be your guide through this segment. The Transforming Education Work Group strives to empower educational institutions and community organizations to foster collaborative thinking that further drives community-responsive and youth-inspired innovation. By closing the loop and leveraging agile networks, we help youth-inspired learning experiences grow with attention to cultural perspectives, workforce training, and economic development. As you can see, Transforming Education Community Rules, and rules stands for responsive and youth-inspired learning experiences for scientific advancement. So all in all, Transforming Education Community Rules Advancement. For youth-inspired research, we're part of a network that has been working over the last year on youth-inspired research in various different components as well as settings. For this work group, we start with what is youth-inspired research? According to the NSF, it's based on basic foundational research that's used to develop practical solutions that address social challenges, and this all leads to technological advancement. Our Transforming Education Network framework has research as its center, and this includes youth-inspired research experiences, and because we are transforming education, teaching is a large part of that. And these are in settings such as K-12 schools, community colleges, universities, as well as interdisciplinary learning. As far as teaching and community engagement are very much intertwined in youth-inspired research. For best practices in teaching, we align curriculum to youth-inspired research through course-based research, co-created curriculum that's community responsive, and career training for workforce development. With community engagement, the best practices to align partnerships with youth-inspired research include partnering with industry, as well as government entities, nonprofit agencies, and private institutions, among others. For the Transforming Education Work Group, we wanted to share some of the lessons learned and the processes that worked. First, it is recommended to have a community agreement. This ensures mutual collaboration by your core team members and your work group members across institutions. A second element is planning. And here, planning especially for sustainability by submitting grant applications. And this requires a lot of collaboration and working together on how to formulate the grant applications. And then implementation, once you have the funding to implement the youth-inspired research projects. Another lesson learned from our Transforming Education work group was related to the community agreement process. Part of that is to have regular core group meetings and agree on the frequency. We met initially bi-weekly as we were planning, and then less frequently as we had formulated our grant application, and then more frequently again as we were planning for conference presentations. So it's important to have meetings and keep the collaboration going. Next, it's also important to have shared goals. At our work group meetings, we decided on the 4 goals below. First, to advance youth-inspired research. Second, to incorporate youth-inspired research in our teaching and curriculum. Third, to explore collaborations. And fourth, to promote culturally and community responsive learning experiences. And community responsiveness was very important to us in youth-inspired research. The third area that is recommended is to agree on some short-term outputs so that you have those short-term successes to celebrate. And then, of course, the long-term sustainability of your project, your outcomes, and your products for youth-inspired research. I'd like to share some examples of youth-inspired research in the K-12 setting. First, I'd like to talk about the collaboration with the Executive Director of the Science Coach Academy, and this was to organize and present a youth-inspired research professional development track at the annual conference for middle school and high school STEM teachers. Another example was engaging with schools and community partners on the design and implementation of a mobile van, or actually truck, that would provide culturally responsive STEM curricula targeting underrepresented students. In the third example, another colleague worked with elementary school students on a research project related to the degradation of starch-based plastics. These elementary school students worked with university students, and it will be part of a larger project studying environmentally friendly plastics. So these three projects are examples of the phases that I'd mentioned before. The Science Coach Academy was in the community agreement phase. The second example was in the planning phase because the mobile van was part of a grant application that was going to be submitted, or that was submitted for funding. In the third example, this was a funded project that had already been awarded, and the elementary school students and university students were collaborating on implementing the youth-inspired project related to the degradation of starch-based plastics. I'd also like to share some examples of youth-inspired research at the community college setting. The first example, Feather River College in California created a solar-powered water pump. The principal investigator recalled the rash of wildfires across California and other states over the past few years. In fact, it was the 2021 Dixie Fire, the largest wildfire ever seen in California, that destroyed more than 1,300 structures, that prompted the idea for the EVA-1. And it's called Making Our Mark. The project redesigned the existing Mark III water pump used by wildland firefighters. The EVA-1 increases efficiency and saves water and energy by being solar battery powered, and because it was equipped with heat sensors, it was programmed to activate only when those sensors picked up on the heat signature of an approaching wildfire, making it more efficient and saving water, precious water. And the second example from Cleveland State Community College in Tennessee, this was addressing the social problem of waste from our plastic bottle products, which are so prevalent in use these days. It's called the Bottle to Model Project, and it took the plastic bottles and used an apparatus that turned them into 3D printer filament. The large amount of bottles that we use can be recycled in this manner and turned into 3D printer filament at low cost and with minimal prep work done by the user. In the third example, I already covered the conference that was for STEM teachers in middle high school, which was a collaboration with the community college and will continue into the future. And so the summary outcomes of our work group, Transforming Education, Community Rules and Advancement, are the following. The first, to implement relevant curriculum that provide innovative student learning experiences that help to solve social problems. The second is strengthened community connections and economic development with the workforce that is able to take problems and do something about them. And third is the sharing of best practices for youth-inspired research, especially with collaborating across the U.S. with these many institutions in many different environments, all with the aim of youth-inspired research. In a previous video, I talked about the planning phase where we were going to submit for grant applications to fund our youth-inspired research collaborations. And so here are some of the mechanisms that are open from the National Science Foundation that include youth-inspired research. And that's it for part 3, Transforming Education, K through 12 and Community Colleges, Community Rules Advancement. Please scan the QR code to get my contact information, and I look forward to hearing from you and collaborating on youth-inspired research. Thank you.